into Ronaldo! Cristiano Ronaldo in the Champions League! Salah! You'll never see anything like this ever again! So watch it! Drink it in!
And we are back, people. Some technical difficulties again on my side, but yeah, we move. Lots to talk about. We'll get into it because what's he doing, Lee? You right?
Yeah,
He's
mate,
pointing
you
at
said
you.
technical difficulties. I was trying to point to you.
Oh, I was going to say you're pointing the wrong way, but anyway, yeah, we go again. Lots to talk about in the Premier League, and look, we're finally lost in the league to none other than Man United. But we're going to start on Liverpool because they dropped points as well. Yeah, to talk all about it, I got Dale back with me. How you doing, mate?
All good, you?
Yeah, good. Just stressed for bloody internet, man. What a world we're living in at the moment when Sky can't even deliver on the day. And Kingman Kimman, you're all right?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad at all. Enjoying the storm.
Good. Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely hammering down. I'm glad I got my walk in this morning because I reckon tomorrow I'm not going to do it. But yeah, let's get into the game. Obviously, Everton 0, Liverpool 0. Dale, I'll start with you because I want to get your thoughts on the performance itself. And I know you're playing tomorrow night, obviously, in the Champions League. So do go on to that afterwards. But yeah, what was your take on the game and how do you feel about this? Do you feel like it was a point gained, or because I know Everton, for my opinion, had a good game, but that's just because it's Everton, and I'm maybe expecting not much from them based on how they've been this season. But yeah, give me your take on the game itself, and what was your take on the result?
Disappointing result, I think. I think given the balance of the game, we should have probably nicked it. I think Everton had probably 2 clear-cut chances. I think Alisson made a big save in the second half from Mope, which should have scored. Obviously, the goal was disallowed as offside, so I don't really count that as a chance because it was offside. So really and truthfully, they had 1 clear-cut chance, and then Alisson made a really good save from McNeil when it had a double deflection.
And the Tom Davis one as well.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, Tom Davis hit the post. So yeah, so they had two clear-cut chances which they didn't take. I think we hit the post 3 times. I think Pickford made 10 saves. I can't say all of them were decent saves because a lot of us were saying to Lee before we came on that a lot of them were straight at him. I think the Salah one at the end was a big save. The Nunez one as well, where he tips it onto the bar, is a big save.
Class saves, yeah.
So I think that if you in the balance of play, I think you'd probably say a draw was sort of an even result. But given the fact that just the amount of the volume of chances that we had, I'm a bit disappointed that we didn't take one. But again, Everton away. I think a lot of the results there over the last sort of 10 years have been draws anyway. So it was, it's another game. No matter whether they're flying or whether they're not doing so well, they always make it hard for us there. So Everton away, 0-0, 1 point. Disappointing, but it's better than a defeat.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the way I see it, I don't think it's a derby anymore, just based on the fact on how well you've done and how far they've gone down. However, it is the type of game that they're going to turn up. This is where Lampard's going to get some brownie points. Lee, I want to get your thoughts on it. And do you agree with Dale that it was perhaps the right result regarding the circumstances? Or do you think you just didn't you did have enough in the game to win it, but you just didn't take enough of your chances against Pickford?
I mean, I think what you just said was the worst shout we've ever heard, saying it's not a derby anymore. It's fucking, you can see the stadiums from the other one.
No. I mean, in terms of rivalry, not derby. It's like Merseyside derby. That's fine. But I have people now where people say it's all about Liverpool and City are now rivals, right? Based on the title contention. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, if we're doing it based on just that, then how are Liverpool or Everton anywhere near each other? That's like me saying Arsenal and Fulham is a derby. Okay, yes, it's a London derby, but do people give it the same conversation as what they would Liverpool-Everton? No.
Everton-Liverpool is a bigger derby than City-Liverpool. I'd rather beat Everton than City.
Interesting. Okay. Anyway, sorry, mate. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it was the right result, to be fair. Everton had their chances, we had ours. We obviously had a lot more chances than them. Just didn't take them. Yeah, it's not great. Not great.
Yeah. For me, Pickford was... I think a lot of people, and we're going to touch on other games in a little bit, are trying to put themselves up in the England rank. And it was one of those games where Pickford perhaps did look better than what people were suggesting. Because I'm not going to say Liverpool have got the players there to fire the big guns. Let's be honest. You've got Diaz, you've got Salah, Nunez was back. And yeah, I agree with Dale that some of the shots perhaps they could have made better of. But yeah, Everton, probably the right game to give out some sort of performance, because the other games I don't feel like they've played as well. But it's a point gain for them, and yeah, perhaps 2 deducted for Liverpool. But luckily, City did drop points as well, which we'll touch on in a minute. Obviously, other results there as well.
There's always one thing both Liverpool and Everton's fans will say about that game is that if you're not going to win it, just don't. Whatever you do not lose that game. So to be honest, as a Liverpool fan, I ain't too bothered that we've drawn it. As long as we don't lose it, it's all right.
That's what I said a couple of weeks. That's what I said a couple of weeks ago as well. Is I really wanted Everton to go down last year, not just because it's Everton, but because it's 2 hard games on paper for us that we can avoid. Because no matter whether they're flying, whether they're down there, they never ever give us an easy ride there. And Goodison's just such a hard place to go and get a result usually, especially for us. So
I mean, I know all about it. We saw what happened to Arsenal last season. But yeah, on that note, we move. Obviously, we're going to the 3 p.m. games, and then I do want to touch on... I want to try and get through this quickly, because I do want to touch on the Champions League and what's coming up, and obviously games at the weekend. Brentford 5, Leeds 2. Look, what a game for Ivan Toney. We were just talking about how players are moving and pushing for the England rank. I'm going to go around the table on the performance itself from Brentford. But I want to ask a question to you two, because it's a big debate, especially after this game. And obviously, we've seen certain strikers in England not in contention anymore because of reasons I don't want to get into, too political. But yeah, do you think Ivan Toney can perhaps make it this, I was about to say this summer, this winter, Dale, or is there just too much competition there? Nodding completely no.
Not because I don't think he's good enough, and not because I don't think he's a good player. It's because of Gareth Southgate. He will not put in a player like Ivan Toney now this close to the World Cup. He already knows what players are going on the plane. He already knows what formation he's playing. He won't do it now. It's too late. If this was the back end of last season, then I'd be saying yeah. But it's just Southgate. He puts too much faith in players, and he always said when he first come that he would pick the players based on form, and it didn't matter who you're playing with. But then he picks Harry Maguire every week, and I'm telling you now, Harry Maguire will be on that plane, and Ivan Toney won't, and that says it all.
Interesting thoughts. I do kind of agree with you. Southgate seems to just stay consistent with who he takes, no matter what the form is, no matter where they're playing, how they're playing. Kingham, do you agree with that, or do you think Tony's perhaps got a chance? I mean, the way I see it, my 2 pence would be there isn't much competition there. There's Harry Kane, Tammy Abraham, and potentially Calvert-Lewin. But I mean, his legs are like twigs. So, but yeah, go on, Lee. Do you agree with Dale that?
I do and I don't. I think there has been times Southgate has sort of taken chances on players on occasions. I do think in terms of the competition there to play sort of second fiddle to Harry Kane, it's pretty open. You've got obviously Tammy Abraham playing in Italy. Most obviously it's a lesser league than the Premier League. Sorry, Chris, if you're watching. And then over in England, you've the only outstanding, I'd say, English striker aside from Toney at the moment is Callum Wilson, and he can't seem to stay fit. If he stays fit, he's probably
didn't think about him actually. Good point, yeah.
And the other two, Danny Ings and Ollie Watkins, aren't.
No way. Wouldn't even put them in the conversation.
They're the only ones that have had call-ups from like Southgate and past stuff. So
yeah,
I think
do agree.
Tony's ahead of them, So I think Tony's only competition really is between him, Wilson, and Abraham. I think Tammy Abraham's leading it at the moment just because of the fact he's been in past squads and stuff. But I think if Tony keeps up his form like he should, he was outstanding at the weekend. If he keeps that up, then Southgate can't really ignore him.
Yeah, that's the key. That's the key for him now. Is if he needs to, he needs to almost force himself.
If you've got a penalty shootout coming up in the World Cup, you're bringing Tony on. His penalties are immense.
Yeah, that is one. That is another thing that could swing it for him. But I just think that if Tammy Abraham's fit, he goes ahead of him. If Ollie Watkins is fit, he probably goes ahead of him as well, just because Gareth Southgate knows him and he can trust them. Not that I don't think this isn't me thinking Tony isn't good enough, because if it was down to me, I'd have Tony ahead of all of them. He would be my second choice. So, but I just think it's the Southgate thing for me.
Yeah, I mean, what a game it was, by the way. A hat-trick for him, obviously. First goal gave him a lot of confidence. Leeds, I tell you what, Jesse Marsh, I love him more and more every week. He's just so honest. I love the. I'm guessing you boys saw it. It was I think it went wide and viral on Twitter, where I think it was Sinistera, where he was giving him a bit of welcoming and about his English and stuff. But then a penalty wasn't given, and we're going to talk about VAR until the cows come home in this show probably. It's going to get a bit boring, water is wet. Penalty wasn't given, and Jesse Marsh just let him rip, and he's now been charged, and because of that. But you know what? I think managers are just going to have to keep their cool, because as we're going to talk about in a few moments' time, it's happening all over the place.
It's what we want to see, though. As viewers, it's what we want to see, innit? Like we had it with Tuchel and Conte the other week. We want to see passion. We want to see managers kicking off, losing their shit.
Yeah.
What I want to see is
and being honest with you, mate, it was a key moment in the game as well. They were 3-1 down. That goes to 3-2. They're pulling it back. It might not end it might end a different way. So, yeah, to be honest, from what I saw, it did look like a penalty. So, and there was other moments which we're going to talk about later, which penalties, again weren't given, but they would be given in another week. So it is what it is. But yeah, fair play to Brentford. Newcastle 0, Crystal Palace 0. Another moment there. What is going on? Michael Fortune, Rashford for the middle is an option. Kane gets injured. I just want to go back to this before we move on.
Yeah, I think the way Rashford's going, I agree with that. Take him, yeah.
I think that's the other thing, isn't it? I think Rashford again. He's another one that Southgate's already looked at. And he can play wide as well. So he'll probably be in the squad anyway if he keeps up.
Had a blind, yeah. I mean, he had a blinder, didn't he? But he can play out on the left. Mind you, he's not going to get in on the left. Look how many options they've got on the left. So
he can play. I think he'll be part of the squad anyway, though. If he's fit and he's firing, he's in good form like he is.
Yeah, look, I think Southgate likes him based on the outside, like obviously off the field. He's known well. I think Southgate and Ralph should. I'm not saying they're best friends and they've got the handshakes going, but I can't see Rashford ever not getting on that plane unless he's injured. And to be honest, I think he'll have a good season anyway. He's got some confidence under Ten Hag. But yeah, I think for me, it's going to be interesting to see that England selection when it comes out, because if it's not based on form, there's going to be riots. People like Ivan Toney, they haven't got long left to get in this England squad. Bloody hell, Sam's on one, isn't he?
Yeah. You can't really argue with it when they've just lost to bloody Zagreb.
Yeah, up the Zagreb. For fun at 80 million, what money spent there. But yeah, Newcastle 0, Crystal Palace 0. Look, another one where VAR was questioned. I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. What's your thoughts on Newcastle this season, Lee? I'll stick with you now that you're talking. Obviously, they signed Isaac, big statement there. Do you think perhaps the weight on their shoulders now is going to be bigger than what it was? Obviously, I saw them as maybe a top 8, top 9 at the beginning of the season, just based on the money they had, and I knew that I knew the Saudis would come in and spend money and spend big and show a big statement, show big intention. But what's your take on them this season? And do you think the fans will be expecting that sort of level for them to finish in? Obviously, massive competition in that area. You've got Palace themselves. I think they'll perhaps be in there. Wolves, at the moment their form's not showing it, but I think they'll be up there. But yeah, what would be your realistic expectation for them from an outside point of view, at least?
Yeah, I mean, I've always had a soft spot for Newcastle anyway, a little bit. They used to be my go-to team on Football Manager back in the Nobby Solano days. Um, I really like them. I know they've got money and everything, but I think since Eddie Howe's come in, the football they're playing is exciting. They're signing the right players. I think one of our first pods for this season, I tipped them as like possible overachievers. I think their fans have got every right to live in hope that they're going to be sort of challenging for the European places, and I don't see why not with the way they're going. Second half of last season, they were one of the best teams in the league. They've started this season well. They've got exciting players. They've got Bruno's obviously doing bits in midfield. St. Maximum's one of the most exciting players to watch in the league. They've got Wilson up top now. Just signed Isaac. Even Target, a left back, Trippier, right back. They've got a good little team going, I think.
Got the tools, haven't they? Yeah.
Do you know what I like about them is the fact that they've got all this money, but they've not just gone and splashed it for the sake of it. They've gone and bought players that actually they want and they feel that can improve them for now, rather than just throwing money at like a Neymar and people like that just for the sake of it.
I think Eddie Howe's quite a likeable geezer, a gaffer as well. He's another one up there with Potter. You could talk for a future England manager for sure.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout whatsoever. I think Newcastle away would be one that many people, I mean, it is anyway, but many people would not be looking forward to this season. But yeah, it's one of them games you look at and you probably would take a draw all day, especially for Palace. Isaac is a great sign. Yeah, Arsenal. I remember when we were speaking about him, and then it became Vlahovic. And honestly, we've got Jesus now, and I get that, but we could have done with another striker. And it is a bit of a sore wound seeing him go to Newcastle, because odds are he's going to come up against us and score. But it's what it is. It's also good to see him at a club like Newcastle, because they're on the up. At the moment they're trying to expand and become a club they once were back in the day. So Forest 2, Bournemouth 3. I'll go to you on this one, Dale. What a game! What a result for Bournemouth. Look, Scott Parker sacked. They needed to lift the gloom. They're 2-0 down, and they go and do this huge boost. Obviously, great comeback. Good for the fans as well. Bit of spirit. But yeah, what's your take on the performance from Bournemouth, and how do you think this will affect Forest? Like, all the money spent, they've built a busload. They've brought in a busload, literally a busload. I think I read the stats: 27 out, 21 in, or something ridiculous. But yeah, squad. Give me your thoughts, mate.
I couldn't believe it, to be honest. When I saw it, I see them, they went 2-0 up, and I thought, Forest at home with other fans behind them, all the feel-good factor. And Bournemouth, mate, out of nowhere. Where have they pulled that from? Unreal, mate. Great for Bournemouth, because obviously they need everything they can get this season, and obviously they're going to have some dark days. So days like that, I think the Bournemouth fans have got to enjoy, and just take it for what it is. And if they can keep that sort of spirit and that sort of fight, then who knows? They might be able to just survive this year. But I mean, I'd still tip them to be the bottom. But massive result for them away at Forest, and I'm sure their fans enjoyed that performance, but I don't think they can afford to go 2-0, keep going 2-0 down in games. They're not going to be able to do that every week.
I mean, for me with Forest as well, the one thing I'll say, I said this from the beginning, they've just got way too much to do. And half the players they've signed, they can't even put on the pitch because they've got too many new players. Like, they signed Awaniti, he was on the bench. I'm thinking, what's happening there? Like, he was their number one signing, record breaking, not even playing him. I don't know. For me, I think Forest would be in my bottom 3, not just going off this result itself, but I just think they have got too much to do. And I don't know too much about their manager, because I haven't got time to sit there and watch Championship every week. But yeah, you've got to be a very good manager to have an entirely new squad come in and you put that together and succeed in the Premier League. That is a very big ask. But yeah, great result for Bournemouth, a lift. And a good, I heard it said on Sky Sports, a good way for a job interview. Because obviously they've got the caretaker manager in at the moment, but we'll see. Those two teams are definitely going to be down there. Wolves 1, Southampton 0. Look, this is what I said about Wolves. They just don't score enough. And Diego bloody Costa, I'm not sure he's going to come in and tick all the boxes that they need someone to. Lee, what's your take on this result for Wolves? And obviously, the manager itself, look, he got a lot of credit last season for how far they finished. You know, they weren't conceding goals, but they've had a big knock with the injury of their new signing, and now they're just looking for someone desperate. It seems like they're just going to throw all their cards in every basket. But yeah, what's your take on Wolves and the result for them? And do you feel like Costa is the type of player that can come and play at this level again? Is it worth it?
Well, I did read that he was getting denied a work permit somehow, which is kind of ridiculous.
That won't happen. That will come in.
Kelly every week. Yeah, I don't know if he's still got it. Fair play. It could be a nice addition to their squad. They clearly need someone up there. I think they got very lucky to win this one, because I was just watching the highlights, I saw Che Adams disallowed goal for handball, and I don't know how he's managed to head that onto his hand.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the most shocking misses I've ever seen.
One you don't look back at.
Yeah. So it probably should have been a draw, really. So they got, I think, even was it Neto who scored? His finish, it was a bit of a scuff.
Dance, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Dance.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. I always get confused there. So.
This is what I mean. They've got good players. I don't get why they never score so much.
I'm not denying they've got good players. They have. I've always liked their squad. I think they've been quite consistent since coming into the Premier League. They just seem to be lacking that cutting edge up top. Really, they're pretty solid at the back, pretty solid in midfield. They just seem to be lacking some attacking flair. They haven't started the season greatly. They haven't picked up many points. Should be interested to see where they go from here.
Yeah, good shout. Definitely. I mean, if I'm looking at Wolves Southampton on Friday afternoon, I'd expect Wolves to turn up here and get some confidence in the players. No disrespect to Southampton, because they obviously got a good win against Chelsea during the week. Had to bring that in, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they fix this, but the players are. Bring it back up. The players are all there. I don't want to talk too much about this game because, look, we all know how much I hate Richarlison. We all know what I've said on him. Flop of the season. And yeah, this guy, he actually had a Spurs 2, Fulham 1. He actually had a good game. I'm gonna give him some credit while I can. He had a good game. Was unlucky not to score. I think he did everything but score, really. And then he did. Took his shirt off. Got booked. And then it's disallowed. I mean, this is the game we live in now, people. You can't even take your shirt off and celebrate, because you know what, you just end up looking silly. But yeah, him and Harry Kane starting, which I found quite interesting, because he was brought in as sort of a number 9 backup, but they went for him and Kane, and they adapted to it quickly. If I'm going to take my Arsenal hat off, they did play well. But one thing I'll say is, look, it's just Fulham. It's only Fulham. It's only Fulham, they told Arsenal. And here at the Spurs, and I'll say, as much as they played well, they didn't win this easy. Mitrovic's goal was brilliant, and they could have had a couple. I think if Fulham have got some better players in there, this is definitely ending 2-2. But yeah, great result for them, for Spurs. And Fulham have got to keep their head up. They're getting some good performance. They've not been. You think of them coming out of the Championship to the Premier League. They're doing quite well, and the wins, the games they're losing, they're not losing by a significant amount. They're not getting hammered. It's not one of them seasons. Who was in charge of them that season? Was it? It wasn't Sam Allardyce, was it?
Well, when they went down?
Yeah.
Parker.
Oh yeah, it was Parker. Oh my God.
Parker,
yeah, Scott Parker. Like, that was just that season. They were gone before they even started. At least now they're showing some spirit. And while other teams slip up, like your Bournemouth, your Nottingham Forest, they might have a chance. But yeah, fair play to Spurs as much as I can give them credit. Let's talk about City. Obviously, you boys were happy with this. Dale, I know you've got some words. I know you've got some words for Haaland. He's just broke his first record in 6 games, right? So you've got to give the man credit. A 30-year record. Niall Quinn kept a record, 10 goals in 6 games, and it's been broken just like that by Erling Haaland. But yeah, talk to me about your thoughts on his performances in the Premier League so far.
There's no doubt that he's got. There's no doubt that he's got an eye for. He's got an eye for a goal. Clearly, he's always in the right place at the right time, which is obviously a talent in itself. But the way I look at it is, I just think there's so much more hype made of him than there is. If you look at his overall play, I know that you're going to say goals are what he's there for. But if you take away the goals, and there's going to be games this season where he doesn't score, he doesn't offer City anything else, in my opinion. I see him; he's anonymous in games, and then all of a sudden, bang, he pops up a goal after a goal. And I know that people will say that, well, that's what he's there for. That's what they've brought him in for, is to be that guy to finish off. But he is, he gets involved minimally in the build-up play.
Look at Lee's face. I'm trying not to laugh at Kingham's face at the bottom.
I'm just seeing it, calling it how I see it. I don't think that. I think against the lesser teams, the teams that he's been scoring against, that's fine. He's going to score loads of goals. He's going to get enough chances in this City team to do that. I just don't feel in the big games, the biggest games, when it's really going to matter, that he's going to do it. We saw against Liverpool, early in the season, all right, it was a Community Shield and he hadn't played a lot of football. He was anonymous for pretty much the whole of the game. He did nothing. And then he scores a hat-trick against Nottingham Forest at home in a 6-0 win and everyone's loving him. I just don't see it. I really don't. There's going to be a time this season, and I think he's going to be a bit like, not in terms of the way he plays like Lukaku, I mean in terms of his record.
Oh my God, no.
Lukaku's record against the teams outside the top 6 was immense. But then you put him against the top 6 teams and he didn't do it. And that's how I see Haaland. That's how I think Haaland's going to be. Obviously, he might go on and prove me wrong. But 10 goals...
they're playing right now, and I reckon he's going to go and turn up. I think humble pie is coming your way.
I just don't see it. Honestly, I don't see it. I don't see the hype with him. Look at all the majority of his goals, tap-ins, and I just don't see it. I just don't see what the hype is with this guy. I think he's a fraud, mate. I really do.
I think you're going to be eating the same humble pie that I'm eating. Lee's gone. I said about Kevin De Bruyne this season, I don't think he was going to bring the numbers that he did last. Look at him now. Like, what an assist that was as well. Haaland may be easy to pick out. Apparently all he does is score goals. But yeah, a great assist from De Bruyne. And you've got to give credit to Stevenage's one and only Ashley Young. What a performance from him when he came on. He's up against the big boys. He's still got it in his locker. But yeah, I think Villa would definitely take that. What a point that is for them. They've had a hard start to the season. Gerrard's been on edge. I think the Villa fans have probably been on, they've been on Gerrard's back way too early in the season, based off last season's results as well, though. And a great point for them. I thought they fought well. Coutinho's goal, another one. And look, I know Luke's mentioned it earlier, so we're going to have to bring this one up. Lee,
I want to finish the Haaland discussion.
I don't want to, honestly.
You don't need to finish it. The guy's a fraud, and he's gonna flop in the big games.
I think his arrival is single-handedly bringing back the old school number 9 to the Premier League, and I'm so here for it. I love it. It's like having the old striker back, like the fucking.
You won't be when they win the league, mate. If City win the league by 5 goals, you'll be like, I fucking hate Haaland.
Yeah, it's got the other teams rattled. It's made us go and panic buy a fucking 70 million Uruguayan Andy Carroll. Do you know what I mean? Teams want Haaland's arrived, and teams want that big centre forward again. I love it. False nine's dead. It's gone. And Joe, he's come in. He's broke a 30-year record already in his first couple of games.
A 30-year record that was held by who? Who was it held by?
Niall Quinn. I mean, yeah.
Mate, give me a break.
Mickey Quinn.
No, it's not. I mean, the fact that hold on a minute.
Not Niall Quinn, Mickey Quinn. Mickey Quinn.
I don't care what Quinn it is.
I thought it was Niall Quinn.
It could be Harlequin. I don't care who it is. He's broke a record that was held by somebody who wouldn't even get into the top 100 strikers in the league, in the history of the Premier League. So I'm not impressed by it.
It's because he didn't play when the Premier League was formed. It was before that era.
Yeah, I mean, he's 22, breaking records in his 6th game in the Premier League. Let's give him credit.
There's only a handful of people who've ever got back-to-back hat-tricks in the Premier League. Don't matter who it's against. You couldn't ask any more from him than what he's done. He's still so young. He's going to be class. He's already proven that he's class. And the Premier League's changing. They're getting the old strikers back. Your Drogba's back. Your big men are coming back, and it's quality.
Well, 2 interesting different opinions there on Erling Haaland. Apparently he's a fraud. And then a Liverpool fan, both Liverpool fans, by the way, love to see him back. Bring back the number 9 position for what it should be. But yeah, look, I'm gonna ask opinions on this because I I found it an odd situation. There was a lot of situations this weekend in the Premier League where I looked at and I was like, yeah, same old, same old. This Coutinho situation was just weird. It was just weird. But Lee, I want to go to you and your thoughts on it. Obviously, Coutinho, former Liverpool player. What's your thoughts on the disallowed goal?
I'm trying to remember it because I didn't show it on Match of the Day too. I just watched.
Right, Dale.
I do.
Dale, have you seen
watch
it? This is going to be completely awkward if neither of you have seen it. But
I've
if
seen
not,
it. I've seen it.
I did watch it when it happened, but
To be honest with you, I didn't watch the game live, but I
it
saw
wasn't
Gerrard.
offside. It was an offside, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Gerrard's
whistle.
reaction to it.
But the reason the goal was disallowed was because the whistle was
flagged?
blown. No,
Yeah.
the whistle. They blew the whistle. But
Yeah, you're supposed to let the flag go, aren't you?
yeah.
But to be
And
fair,
if they
like,
reviewed it, it would have been onside.
but to be fair though, I looked at Gerrard's reaction. And he said, "Oh, a legitimate goal was scored and all that sort of stuff." But then when you look at Edison, he almost stopped. He knows the whistle's already gone. He almost lets it in. So I'm not too sure whether if play continued, if he would have scored anyway. I thought when Gerrard listening to, because obviously I didn't see the game live, I saw Gerrard's comments. Then I watched the highlights. So I thought it would be more legitimate than that, but he was never offside. It was a shocking offside decision. I'd rather in them circumstances just leave the flag down, and then they're going to check the goal anyways. Just don't put the flag up.
Yeah, exactly. It's not. I don't really feel with the whole thing this weekend. It's not VAR that's the problem. It's idiots using
bloody
it.
refs.
Yeah, I feel like we're the only country who can't get it right.
Yeah.
Well, one of the guys he's been sacked from this week's fixtures, isn't he? Lee Mason, is it?
He read a
Lee
lot.
Mason.
Sack them all, yeah.
Yeah, Lee
Get
Mason.
Tierney gone as well. I mean, bloody hell. There's a whole list of them. We could be here all night. But it's like I said to Lee. Look, I said this last year. If there's a bad driver and you give him a new car, it's not going to improve the driving. You know, it's still going to be bad driving. They've given him a system. They've given a good system to bad referees. That's what's going to happen.
I quite agree with Carragher's take on it. Was that he thinks there should be a fan, an ex-footballer, and then a referee. So you then do a 2 out of 3 vote on the big decisions.
I'm not too sure about that. I'm not too
You
sure.
just get a
About
different perspective. Because you've got to think all the refs are supposedly acting to the letter of the rules and the letter of the law.
We'll be in next week, still waiting for the outcome.
But I just think they've got to review it, and they've got to maybe look at a different way of these VAR decisions being made, because they're not really getting them right, and that's the problem. I mean, look at the Chelsea one, for example, with the goalie. I mean, that's never a foul. You've got the Arsenal one, which
I think that's one of the most biggest ones I've ever seen. That Chelsea.
This is what I'm saying. And then it's like you even look back to last year when you had like the Rodri handball away at Everton. Everyone and their dog could tell that was handball doesn't get given. It's just a consistent catalogue of errors. But then again, when you look at the stats, they were talking about it on TalkSport today, and they were saying the actual stats of the ones that they've got right compared to the ones they've got wrong, it still heavily weighs in favour of it's doing good rather than bad. But obviously, we only discuss or pick up on when it goes wrong, and that's when all the heat comes from. Whereas when they get it right, no one talks about it.
100%, yeah, and good job you brought up the Chelsea one. That was my next go-to. Declan Rice, the boy, Dale's best friend.
Lovely assist.
Yeah.
It's only took him 5 seasons.
But yeah, Declan Rice going to social media. It reminds me of, do you remember, I think it was last season actually, when there was the clip of him walking through the tunnel and then he completely uproared at the referee. And it just reminded me back to the proper Ruffle days. But yeah, he came out and then apologised after, which I think kind of let him down a bit.
What did he say?
Just basically said that the system is a shambles, and then 2 hours later he apologised and said, you know, in the heat of the moment.
Fair though, he's got a point though, hasn't he?
Because
the thing is, he's got a point though, hasn't he? Because I mean, again, every man and his dog could tell that wasn't a foul. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's basically saying what he really thinks, and then his PR team have made him apologise.
Yeah. But the way I see it, right, what is Bowen meant to do? What on earth do you do in that situation?
Well, I actually think Mendes feels fucking ashamed that he's even appealed for that. He's literally come out. He's literally come out and claimed the ball, and then gone, "Oh, my arm!" Like he's been kicked. He's literally just claimed the ball. Like he should be like a proud fucking goalkeeper for claiming it. And yeah, he should have kept hold of it. Don't get me wrong.
By the way, what a finish by Cornet after as well.
Yeah, brilliant. I haven't seen too much of him, because when he joined Burnley, I thought, what is going? Didn't see much of him at all. and then he joined West Ham, and now I'm starting to see like what he's about. And they've got, to be fair, they've got good depth now, West Ham. I've got to give them that. Like when they come into the Conference League, it could be a good season for them because that's a league that they're more than likely going to succeed in. They've got the depth. They've got Scamacca, Antonio, Bowen, Fornals. You know, the list goes on. But yeah, shameful from Mendy and another poor decision. You know, at this point, I just think I feel like it's Groundhog Day. We're just going to be talking about this constantly every single time.
I'll tell you what, that Mendy has started this season terribly. Being found out for the player he is.
He got dropped tonight, didn't he?
Who said it? Who said it though? Was it you, Lee, a couple of weeks ago before he even started performing badly that you don't understand why he's in certain conversations? I think it was you. And then ever since he's had howlers, absolute howlers. I haven't seen the game from tonight. I need to watch the highlights back of the game from Zagreb to see how he did then. But
he got he got dropped. He got dropped tonight.
Did he?
Kepa started in goal tonight, yeah. But the thing is, as well, I think the thing is with Mendy, he's one of them that I think he's a good shot stopper, and he's had the fortunate, obviously Chelsea over the last couple of seasons have been quite solid defensively, and he's had a good back four, back five in front of him, so he's had minimal to do. And then obviously when he has been called upon, he's done it pretty well. But I think now that you're starting to see Chelsea leak a few more goals and there's a bit more pressure on his goal, you're starting to now see that maybe he's not that good as what people thought he was. I mean, I think 3 or 4 years ago he was training on his own in a park and couldn't get signed by anybody, and now I don't know. Yeah. I've never really seen him as this top goalie that everyone speaks about. He has good games.
I think it was the win with Senegal, wasn't it, that really lifted like everyone started then discussing about him.
Champions League,
from that.
Obviously,
and then the Champions League as well. So he was an AFCON winner, a Champions League winner. So people were just putting him in conversations anyway. Yeah, for me, I've seen more howlers from him than good performances. That's just my opinion.
You can sort of compare him. The difference in class between him and Alisson at the moment of the season. Because both teams have got shit defences in front of him, but Alisson's putting off really good saves and not really making mistakes, and Mendy's having a shocker. So yeah. I mean, that kind of end, who's the better goalkeeper in the league?
See, that's
I wouldn't put Edison and Alisson on his level anyway with Mendy. No way.
I mean, John's telling that's Chelsea.
Yeah.
Thing is, as well, for me, I think as well, like a top goalie as well is sometimes not someone who's pulling off 10 saves a game. It's maybe someone who doesn't have nothing to do all game, and then in the 90th minute, he's got to stay contract. He's got to pull a worldie off, and he's had one thing to do, and he keeps it out. Sometimes that's more of when you can sort of judge a goalie. I think any goalie can have games where, like Pickford, you're not going to say after him making 10 saves at the weekend that he's a world-class goalie. But goalies can have them games where they just seem to be in the right place at the right time. And I think he's had quite a few with it.
Pickford goes from being England's number one to like not even starting from Everton. It's a joke. Like the inconsistency in Pickford is baffling sometimes. Like it is. He'll probably go and have a shocker at Emirates, hopefully. But yeah, another interesting game. Stupid amount of goals. Brighton 5, Leicester 2. Look, Brendan Rodgers is still there. Don't know how much longer. But, you boys are Liverpool fans.
He has lost the dressing room completely. Lost them.
Lost them all.
I mean, you had the team arguing on the pitch all game. Picking fights with each other. I thought it was going to be another Bowyer.
Dale, are you bringing that up? Are you bringing that back up in relation to... Graham Potter because of Brighton. I was thinking, what? I got very confused then. I thought you were thinking
like... about Brighton, mate.
Yeah, look, manager of the month. As much as I was going to say Arteta, it's got to be Potter, isn't it?
Mate, can I just big up Potter? I'm going to make a big statement now, and it's not just off the back of the start for this season either. I would have Graham Potter as Klopp's successor. When Klopp goes, if Potter's still doing it for Brighton as he's doing now, I'd have him at Liverpool.
Lee.
Some of your shouts are unbelievable.
He wouldn't take Potter.
Lee, what's your problem with that? You've got more of a response to that to what you have him managing England, and to be honest,
4 years.
I thought another 4 years. You think?
Yeah, he
signed a contract.
What? No, I just find that funny because whenever Liverpool lose, or the other week when you lost to Man United, the amount of silly fans and I'm not putting you two on their bracket because I know they're not, that were like Klopp out, Klopp's not the right man, and I thought, who the hell is going to come in and do a better job than Jurgen Klopp?
I'm not saying I want Klopp to go in order for Potter to come in. I'm not saying that.
But if anyone's going to replace him, it'll be him.
If Klopp was to walk tomorrow, I'd have Potter would be my first choice. Look at the players he's lost. He's lost Ben White, obviously last season. He's lost Cucurella. He's had no striker for 2 years, and yet he's
lost Mount now as well.
and then they're still getting results, and it's not just the results; it's the style of play that he plays, the football that he plays. If his name was Potterino or whatever they want to call him, he'd be talked about in a whole different bucket, man.
You're sounding like Sam Allardyce now.
Mate, I'm telling you, this guy needs to be taken seriously. He's a bloody good manager. He's a bloody good manager.
Like I said, though, lost a lot of pieces.
If you gave Klopp that squad, he wouldn't get the results Potter's getting.
Wow. Okay, that is a big statement. That's a big statement.
It is impossible to tell. I know what you're saying, but I just think that he doesn't get nowhere near the amount of praise that he deserves.
Do you not think? I think he does get praise. I know a lot of people that.
I don't think he does.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of praise at the moment, and
I think if you did a debate on Twitter, would you have Graham Potter as your manager? I can't imagine many people would say no, unless you're maybe Pep, Klopp.
I mean, I think if you're talking one of the best clubs in the world, though, like your Liverpool's, your Man City's,
Chelsea would have him. I bet Chelsea fans would have Potter tomorrow.
Think he comes in the conversation yet because he's not got any. He's not got any pedigree.
Someone's got to give him a chance.
Dale.
Yeah, but that's where he's got to take over maybe someone who's not in the top two and needs to, and then trying to break into it, he needs to take someone outside of the top two.
Yeah, no, I think he's next.
The thing is with Potter, right? I think now he does need a bigger because he's done what he's done with Brighton is brilliant, and he does keep doing it. Let's be honest, he's always finishing high with them. He's not finishing in a silly position. And you look at the squad, Danny Welbeck still starts. Adam Lallana probably gets in there sometimes, and I'm thinking you're a relegation battle squad realistically. And the players that are doing it, Saseda, no one can tell me that they knew about him last season. No one had a clue.
I think
he's turning up for him. Alex, is it Alexis McAllister? I think it is, isn't it?
Alexis.
Great finish, by the way. It's sad to be disallowed, to be fair.
I think the only thing with Potter is that obviously, like you say, at the minute there's no expectation for Brighton, so they're not he's not expected to do anything, and he's not dealing with big egos.
What more can he do with them? That's the thing.
I think like Lee said, if he was to go to a bigger club where he had a bigger purse, when he could buy better and bigger stars, then that would be the test for him whether he could do it with the big egos and the big personalities that you get when you're signing top footballers. At the minute, he's dealing with players who want to make a name for himself, so that probably bodes well for him. The fact that they're hungry and they want to push to be able to use Brighton as a stepping stone to go and play for your top six sides. So it does bode well for him in that sense. The dynamic of the squad is that they're all hungry, looking to do a Cucurella, come in for a season or two, and then get a move to a big club. So that does give him a bit more of an advantage at the minute. But I still think outside of the top six, he's the best manager.
Oh well, yeah. I'm not going to slander Arteta too much because I don't want to be one of those people. We lose one game and Arteta out. But what Potter does with the little squad he's got, I mean, Maupay was starting every game. He lost him, and I'm not saying Maupay's a great player, but he scored goals. And for me, having people like, even was it Dan Burn? He came from Brighton as well, didn't he? Did he?
Yeah.
Dan Burn, they've lost so much of that defence, and how he's put the pieces back together so quickly is just amazing. But yeah, we're going to talk about the game. I don't really want to talk about too much. Arsenal losing finally, but we're still top of the league. Can
you go to Lee first, mate? Because he said he wants to rip into Arsenal tonight, so I'm interested to see what he's going to say.
I mean, we played well, so I'd like to know what he's got to say. But go on, Lee.
Oh no, I was going to say you could go to Den first because I know he's going to put a positive spin on it.
Oh wow! All right, we're doing this. Yeah, look, in terms of the performance, I can't knock us too much. I thought they showed hunger, they showed grit. I said beginning of the game I wanted to see a bit of a fight in this game because we didn't see it last season when we lost there 3-2. That was an unfortunate loss. To be honest, I think this was as well. We ticked a lot of the boxes. I think not enough creativity. Like we had a lot of the ball the first half, Jesus, he was playing well, very well, causing problems, but he was just not in the right areas. Like, he's there to score goals. What on earth is he doing? Like, he was giving me Lacazette feels, and I don't mean that in terms of how well he was playing or how bad he was playing. He was just playing. He was just in the wrong areas. When we're playing a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, however you want to call it, we need Jesus in the middle. We don't need him doing that build up. Like, we need him at the front firing. But yeah, defensively, very, very questionable. Bad game for Gabriel, especially. In terms of the result, look, well, I was just saying I don't want to call out Arteta. I'm going to call out Arteta. I think the game was lost. Those substitutions, what are you doing? Like, there's no need to be that hasty. There is no need. We were 2-1 down. We were still in the game. And we hadn't even... It's not like even we were getting, It's not like we were drowning. We were doing all right. We were doing comfortably well. We just got caught on the break. And I think we'd have come back into the game and probably equalised. However, he goes and makes 3 substitutions, takes Zinchenko, arguably one of our best players on the day, off. Which, okay, if he's got a knock or if he's just coming off an injury, that's fair enough. But to take him off and then bring on Smith Rowe and Vieira, 2 attacking players, is suicide. It is suicide. And I think Ten Hag would have, been licking his lips and knowing exactly what to do as soon as those substitutions were made. And yeah, paid off. We got completely exposed. The inevitable was going to happen, and it did. But I think there's more good to take out of the game than bad. And I'm not meaning to sound like, like how it was at Anfield. Oh, okay, you drew the game, but apparently you won. I feel like this was a very good performance. One we've not seen at Old Trafford or any sort of stadium. This is one of our hardest away games. Probably just as hard, if not harder, for Liverpool going to Everton. So I'll take the performance we had, and yeah, we go again next week. And yeah, look, Luke's just said exactly what words out of my mouth. He was just dropping too deep. We're not going to score goals with him dropping deep. Good game for Saka, good finish as well. Took it well. Odegaard, look, people can slander him till the cows come home. He's our captain. He's not going nowhere, and the goal that we actually scored doesn't happen without him. So it is what it is. But yeah, we go again Sunday against Everton. Hopefully that'll bring back some confidence. And yeah, we got a game on Thursday in Europa League, so it'll be good to see players like Vieira get a test in their first start of the season. Go on, Lee.
Right, where to start? I just don't see how anyone can say their team played well when they've lost 3-1
There we go.
against a team everyone was saying relegation for it 2 weeks ago. It's a very average Man United team. Don't get me wrong, they're showing a lot of character at the moment, and they've had a couple of good results. But I don't know. I just thought there was a lot of disappointing performances from a lot of Arsenal players. It's the first time they've actually come up against a proper challenge this season in terms of one of the traditional big sixes. And yeah, they've just sort of, I feel like they've just been. I thought they were poor. I thought
harsh, but
Saliba had a bad game. He was sleeping for the second goal. He missed a really good chance in the first half himself, which he should have at least hit the target with. I thought there was a lack of bravery from the midfield in terms of their passing and getting into the box as well. Like, there's quite a lot of times Ben White, for example, would make overlapping runs and people wouldn't give him the ball. But when he does get it to cross the ball in the box, there's no one in there. There's a few times Xhaka's got the ball, he doesn't want to pass it forward, he decides to go wide instead when there's a really good option through the middle for him in Jesus or Odegaard or someone else. I just thought, I thought it was poor.
I get what you're saying about the midfield though, but the way I see it with the midfield, we've been left with slim pickings. All right, everyone wanted to see us sign a centre midfielder, and then we lost El Neni to injury, we lost Partey to injury, so that was like throwing gasoline on the fire. So it was all bad to begin with. We only had we had little depth. Luckily, Europa's just started now, not a couple of weeks ago, but hopefully we'll start to see some players back. Partey's back in training, or apparently going to an international break. Probably break his legs again. But yeah, the midfield we had, Lokonga, he's never ever rubbed shoulders with players like this. Eriksen, Fernandes, and let's be honest, Eriksen had a great game again under Ten Hag. So for
a lot
me,
of lot of people questioned Eriksen going to Man United, but he was very good. I don't know if that's because Arsenal made him good.
There we go.
But
Why can't you just accept a player for how he did and how well he played? What was that? What was our performance got to do with how well Eriksen played?
Because you didn't stop him playing well.
Do you know what I think one of the biggest concerns? Do you know what one of the biggest concerns for me watching Arsenal is that at 1-1, what you were playing basically up on the half. Your centre backs were playing up on the halfway line. You've got Rashford running in behind. You've got that Anthony, the new lad. You've got a bit of pace about him. You had Sancho running in behind, and then you're playing up at the halfway line at 1-1 with 20 minutes to go. Suicide, mate. Like that's naive. That's naivety from
I would disagree with that because if you look at a lot of the top clubs like City and Liverpool, they play with that high line.
Yeah, but we've got the players to play it. I don't think Arsenal are good enough to play it. They don't press well enough from the front to play a high line.
I mean, Saliba and Gabriel have pace, so they've got pace. It's just that when you're playing that line, you can't switch off. You've got to keep your line tight, and you've got to follow your runners when they go. And just unfortunately, they didn't really do it. They just let Eriksen bowl through for the third.
Also, as well, I think you've got to look at Man United were clinical, weren't they? When they got their chances, they were in the net. Whereas
look at Rashford. Like, for me,
it's a very good second.
So yeah, Sunday, I think it was a field day for Rashford because there were so many opportunities for them. Luckily, they didn't take every single one they got, but there was a lot of opportunities where they could have counter-attacked us. Zinchenko was getting high. I mean, he had a good game, to be honest. And, if he hadn't, that could go 4 or 5-1. But the way they've got Rashford, they've got Anthony, they've got a good midfield in Eriksen and Fernandes. Anthony, he looked good from what I saw, very little. He got his goal. But Rashford, when you're 1-on-1 with a keeper like that, composure, he's got it. We saw him do the same thing against, it was you, in fact, I think. And yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, and we've seen him do it many, many times, and I think he's going to be in for a good season because he's going to get a lot of opportunities like that. I think it's going to be a hard way back into this team for Ronaldo because if Rashford keeps doing that, the system's working. You don't fix what isn't broken. And if he can do that against Arsenal, and I'm not saying we've got the best defence in the league, but there's going to be plenty of opportunities in other games, in less important games, where you're on the break and you're going to need a man like Marcus Rashford to finish it off. So, look.
I think with Arteta as well, though, you've got to think like at 1-1, if he would have sat back and just settled for a draw, all the Arsenal fans would have gone, "Oh, United were there for the taking, a draw, this, that, and the other." But the fact that he's gone for it and it's backfired and you got beat, obviously now it swings the pendulum the other way.
I disagree with that.
He was a bit too
the reason everyone's annoyed is because at 2-1 we were actually still in the game and playing very well. If you're going to make them decisions at 1-1, that's fine. Mix things up at 1-1, that's fine. But to do it just after.
But this is my point. This is my point. Though you were 2-1 down, and then he throws everyone on the pitch to try and salvage the game, and you end up conceding the third.
I think that's the issue. He threw everyone on at the same time, which disrupts.
Yeah. I think at 1-1, at 1-1. I think sometimes you've got to look and go, where are you? 1-1 away at United, traditionally a tough game for most of the top six away at Old Trafford. You're 1-1 with 15, 20 minutes to go. Do you need to go for it? You're top of the league. A point away at Old Trafford's not a bad result. So why not keep what you've got and try and nick something on the break yourself rather than thinking that you're like Man City and you've got to go and win the game?
I think the thing is as well, like there was so many, like Zinchenko and Odegaard, they were doubts for the game. They started. I think there was more, to be fair. He wasn't seen in training as somebody.
I think that's the way United are going to play against the top teams, though. United,
and I think we saw how United were playing against us. The defense was getting tired. He could have made a change at 1-1, and I think that definitely saved us at least a point. At least, at very best, it goes on till 2-1, and we get a nice little bit. In fact.
The thing
Thinking about it now, Vieira, it was his first time touching a Premier League football game. Like to put him and Smith Rowe on at the same time was reckless because they're both. Not saying they're the same player because I haven't seen Vieira yet. I'm yet to see what he's capable of. Hopefully, I will on Thursday. But for me, they seem very similar. So if you throw on two number 10s when you're 2-1 down, you can bet your arm that you're going to get exposed just the way you just did. Like. We just
Thing is,
seen
though,
what happened.
From an Arsenal point of view, if at the start of the season they would have said you're opening 6 games, you'll win 5 and lose 1, you would have taken that.
You take it,
Yeah, I'll take 15 points out of
Well, top
18
of the
without a
league,
doubt. Without a
That's what I'm
doubt.
saying.
However,
So,
it could have been avoided. I
that
think
is
that's
positives, yeah.
But I think you've got to look at the positive at the end. This time last year, Arsenal were lost their first 3 games, struggling to get wins on the board. Now this year's complete turnaround. So I think everyone just, from an Arsenal point of view, just don't panic. Look, you've been playing well. You've come up against your first real test. The next time, just go and win the next one. Who's your next big test?
I mean,
go and win
we
that.
got Zurich away, and then that'll hopefully be a comfortable game for the young boys. There'll be a lot of players rested there. And then we got Everton at home on Sunday, which you'd like to back us in. You'd like to think 2 or 3-0 there, a couple of goals. Jesus needs to get back on the scoring sheet, so it may seem like a setback, but it might put us up a level as well. It might put us up 2 levels rather than 1 because of this game. It might seem like a knock.
I think with Jesus, he's got to find that happy medium between dropping in and linking the play, and then actually being in the area to score the goals. Because let's not forget, he's been brought in to score goals. He's not been brought in to link the play. You had that with Lacazette and it didn't work. I think we've got
enough number 10s for that as well. We've got Odegaard, Smith Rowe, and Vieira. So
I think he's got to work. I think he's got to just work on not getting dragged to the ball too much. I know that's his natural instinct, is to try and get involved and make stuff happen. But I think also, like you say, so many times Ben White had the ball out wide and Zinchenko, they're looking up to put it in the box, and he's outside the box trying to get involved with the play. Get in the box. That's where you're going to get your goals.
100%. But yeah, look, for me, I'm not worried. I think October is the next big test again, where we play Spurs, and then City in a matter of 3 weeks. Oh God, what a good time that's going to be. If only January was coming before that. But Arsenal will go again. We'll get another win and get back to winning ways on Sunday. Hopefully in Europa League on Thursday as well. I'm more than convinced. And I don't think this is going to have any. I don't think this will have any effect in the dressing room into we're back to square one. It was a good performance. We lost the game. Silly moves from Arteta, and please can he remember that there is 5 substitutes. But I do want to touch on Champions League before we wrap up, because obviously Liverpool play tomorrow night. Lee, I'll go to you first, and then we'll end on Dale, because I know Dale's given a little bit of a take earlier. But yeah, give me your thoughts tomorrow night. Thiago's back by the look of it. Who do you think? How many players can you see being rested, or do you think Klopp's going to go all guns blazing?
Just before I touch on Liverpool, I just want to let Dale know that Haaland's given Man City the lead.
Yeah, sorry.
So I'm worried for tomorrow night's game big time, because we don't do well away in Napoli, especially in recent times as well. Even with a full team out, we don't do well there. I think we're even lacking a bit of away support because of the trouble that goes on over there when our fans go over there, or when any fans go over there. Really, it's not the nicest away trip. But yeah, obviously Henderson's out 3 weeks. Thiago won't start because he's only just started full training, so I wouldn't expect him to start. Arthur's probably not match fit yet, so it's probably most likely looking like a midfield with Fabinho, Milner and Elliott. I'm all for Harvey Elliott. I think he's been class. Harvey Elliott's been class since he's come in this season. Looks well over his injury from last year. I've got nothing but praise for that boy. But Milner, he's 36 and he looks 30. He's playing like he's 36 at the moment. I'm scared to see it. So I'm worried about tomorrow night. I'm hoping Nunes can find some form, or it'll probably be. I would have thought Firmino will start, as it's an away game. And
it's a bit harsh to drop him on. The only reason I can think he was dropped on Sunday, I know it was a big game on Saturday, but the only reason I can think is that Firmino is going to be given the green light in Champions League. Well, I'd hope so, because he's been in great form for you lot.
Or they might give Jota a run out as well, which I'm actually excited to see him back. And I would like to see Matip given a run out as well. I actually miss him in our defence. Obviously, our defence has been quite erratic so far this season. I don't think anyone's really covered themselves in glory. That's for anyone in the back four, full-backs and centre-backs. And I think we are actually missing him. I think he goes very unnoticed for the presence he brings. Even his little when he goes on his little adventures, carrying the ball forward. Hopefully he gets a little start. But yeah, I'm a little bit worried. I would settle for a draw tomorrow.
How about you, Dave? You feeling more confident than Lee, or do you think he's got reasons to
No,
perhaps be on? Don't sit on the fence. By the way, please don't.
No. I do. I sort of agree with him to a certain extent that Napoli's not an easy place to go at any time. They're not as good as they once were. I think that in recent years when we've played them, they've had the likes of Insigne, and when Dries Mertens been firing, and Milik and people like that. They're no longer there. Koulibaly's gone now as well. So I don't think they're as good as they are. They've got that big lad up front who Arsenal linked with that Osherman, is it? He's supposed to be a handful. But yeah, I agree with Lee. I think this is where I sometimes get a bit of an issue with Klopp. Not an issue, but I get a bit fed up with sometimes the stubbornness. Is when he continues to play the 4-3-3 when we haven't got the players there to play it. So like you say, the likes of Thiago are out, Henderson's out. Obviously, Elliott's a young kid. He's played a lot of football. I'd like to see him maybe try something different in this game. I called earlier maybe going 4-4-2 and having Firmino playing just sort of off of Nunes, and then having Salah and maybe Jota wide. I'd like to see Jota get start. I think Salah or Diaz, one of them could do with a rest now, and then maybe swap them up, 60 minutes, take one off for the other. I'd like to see Arthur get some minutes, maybe not to start, but bring him on at some point and maybe go to a 4-3-3 in the second half. But I would like to see him maybe start. If Milner and Fabinho are going to play, I think Milner's better off just playing more of a sitting role rather than trying to play in a free where he's expected to bomb forward and get back as well. I just don't think he's got that in him anymore. So I'd like to see us maybe try a little experiment, even if it's just for the first half. I don't think Klopp will. I think he'll stick with the 4-3-3 like Lee said, and he'll probably pick the team that Lee said. He can't really rest Trent at the minute because we haven't got anyone to put in there. Costa started at the weekend, so Robbo will probably be back. Van Dijk hasn't covered himself in glory. I think Gomez has been all right. I think he's had some good performances, but he's also had some shaky moments as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if Matip comes in, just had a bit of experience in there. There's not really much to choose between Matip and Gomez, to be honest with you. They pretty much swap one in, one out for the other. It's not doesn't change too much. I think Matip just gives you a bit more of a presence and a bit more experience. But yeah, I mean, I'd be happy with a 1-0 win. I'd be happy with a draw. Anything other than defeat, really. First game, probably the hardest away game I'm going to play in the group. Just don't lose.
Yep, fair enough. Wish I could talk about Champions League, but it is what it is. I'm going to be watching your lot tomorrow night. I certainly won't be watching Tottenham. I know that for sure. But yeah, everyone that's tuned in, thank you very much for tuning in, and make sure you smash that like button and hit the subscribe if you're new. We're going to be back next Tuesday. Lots of football coming up at the weekend, so we're going to try and be discussing that next week more in detail. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give a prediction for Arsenal's game on Sunday. I don't usually like doing it, but I know my friend Pinner is going to hopefully be pissed as a fart on the way home, and Arsenal are going to give it a 4-1. Dale, you're going for. Give me your prediction for tomorrow night. Obviously, I'm not going to do it for Europa League because it's going to be an entire new 11. We will change things because of the distance. But what would be your guess of a score for tomorrow night against Napoli?
I said it earlier. I'm going to go with a close 1-0. I think we might just edge it. I don't think it'll be a vintage performance, but I'm going to go with a 1-0 Liverpool win. Just.
Lee?
My heart says 1-1. My head says 1-0 Napoli.
Oh God! All right. Yeah, that won't
I think I agree with you about Arsenal and Everton at the weekend as well. I think you'll win. I don't think you'll even concede. I think you'll smash them about 3-0.
Nice. You got that same spirit for us? Go on, end it on. I mean, I know you're Liverpool fans. Come on, Dale. Go for a 5-0.
No, I think it'll be a reality check for Everton. I think they were celebrating like they stayed up last year for getting a 0-0 draw at home to us. So I'm gonna go. I agree with Lee. I think it'll be 2-3-0. I think it'll be comfortable. I think
they're a different animal. They're a different animal at home as well. Goodison Park can be a bit of a cesspit.
Yeah. I think they'll put up a good
away from home Emirates. No chance.
I think they'll put up a bit of a fight for 45 minutes, and then come the second half, you just take it away from them.
Love it. Yeah, hopefully Bukayo Saka back on the score sheet. But guys, we'll be back next week. Thank you for watching. See you guys soon. Take it easy.
Guys.
Do not scratch your eyes. You are really seeing